Today we're moving on to chapter 4, so we're doing 4.1, mapping and writing inequalities. So before we get started, I've got a little bit of a story time for you. So I graduated high school in 2013, so when I was your age in 7th grade, it was 2007. So my prime childhood years were probably 2007 to 2012-13. And so in that time period, about like 2 10s. Um, we like to pose for pictures by doing peace signs. So I know you guys do like the awkward like hand motions or I don't know, whatever you guys do these days. But back in my day, we did our peace signs, kind of like this. So that's a picture of me in 8th grade doing my little peace signs. Here's another photo of me doing my peace sign. That was 2010. And then there's a picture of me and one of my best friends from high school doing our peace signs in probably about 2009. So right around that period, we were popping our peace signs out and taking our pictures like that. And so I want you right now to act like you are going to take a photo in 2010 just like Miss Christie did. So put your peace signs out in front of you. In order to do that, you take your two hands, you put your peace signs up, and then we always tilted our peace signs to the side. So tilt your right one like that, and then tilt your left one like that. And so when you're looking at those, let's get back to that. I didn't pause it in time. Go. So when you're looking at these two peace signs out in front of you, and I've got them on the screen as well, look at your left hand. Your left hand has a less than sign in it, and your right hand has your greater than sign in it. So if you're ever confused during this entire chapter, because this entire chapter is going to be over inequalities, act like you're taking a photo from 2010, put your peace signs in front of you, and you have your two inequality symbols. Left is less, left less, left less. It goes together with your two L's. And so hopefully you can tell me, if it lets me go, there we go, which one is which now. So you've got your options are less than or greater than, and then you have less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. So tell me which one's which, pop your peace signs in front of you, and figure it out. Hopefully you're thinking these answers. So that first one is your right hand, so it's the greater than sign. And then if it has a line underneath it, that means or equal to. And then your third one in line, this one right here, is your left hand, left less. So that is your left than sign. And then again, if it has the line underneath, that means or equal to. So here are some how-to directions step by step on how to graph inequalities. So the first thing that you always have to do is you're going to have to simplify. So by simplify, I mean we have one variable on one side and a number on the other. Then you're going to draw a circle at the number on your number line. So when we're graphing inequalities, we're going to be graphing on a number line. And so we are doing a circle on that number. So whatever number is on the non-variable side. You always have to ask yourself, is this going to be an open circle or is it going to be closed? And you know that by if it has a line underneath or not. So an open circle does not have a line because it's not equal to that number. And a closed circle does have that line because it is equal to that number. We have to include that number. The trick that I used when I was your age was this inequality here takes more work to draw because I have to draw that whole extra line. That's a lot of work. And so I have to do more work with my circle too. I have to fill in that circle. So more work is more work. Step number 3, do the numbers to the right or the left side of the circle that make your inequality true. And you're going to draw that arrow in the true direction. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So let's do a couple of problems. First thing we're always going to do is simplify. I have to make sure that there's a variable on one side and a number on the other, and there is, so I'm going to go with step number 1 without any work. Step number 2 is I have to draw my circle. I first have to figure out, is it an open circle or a closed circle? And so I'm going to be looking at my inequality here. So my inequality is a less than sign, and since it does not have the line underneath, it's not equal to. So since this is a less than sign, it is going to be an open circle because it does not have the line underneath. So I know that it is an open circle. And now I'm going to go to this number. So it says +1, and I'm going to draw an open circle on that number. Next thing I have to do is I have to draw an arrow to the true side. So what I'm doing with this is I am taking a number from the left and a number to the right of that circle that I just drew. So one smaller than 1 and one bigger than 1. And all I'm doing is taking that number and substituting it into my inequality here. So it says x is less than 1. Is 0 less than 1, or is 2 less than 1? Hopefully you realize that 0 is less than 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw an arrow towards the true side. So this statement was true, so I'm drawing it that direction. Let's try another one. So the first thing I do is I make sure that my inequality is simplified. Since I do have a variable on the left and a number on the right, I know it's going to be simplified. Now I'm going to go into drawing my circle. First thing I have to do, is it open or closed? So this one does have a line underneath, which means closed circle. I'm going to go to the number -6, and I'm drawing my closed circle there. Now I have to figure out which direction my line goes in. So I'm going to take a number to the left of that number that I just put and a number to the right. And I'm going to plug them into my inequality. So is -7 greater than or equal to -6? Or is -5 greater than or equal to -6? Hopefully you're thinking it's -5 because when we're dealing with negative numbers, what I do is I think about owing somebody money. So would I rather owe somebody $7 or owe somebody $6? Hopefully you're thinking that you'd rather owe somebody $6. So that means that that's the bigger number, which means that statement is not true. And this is our true statement. So we're going to be drawing our arrow in our true direction. So that true direction is to our right. Another side note, when you are drawing your graphs, you do not have to write down every single number. So if you're doing that, stop that now. All you have to do is draw your arrow like how I did here, and then draw 3 tick marks. So 1, 2, 3. And then you just have to fill in these 3 here. So while I'm looking at number 3, so hopefully you already have a little bit of a start on this. If not, kind of think about what I'm going to be doing here. So I know that my middle number has to be 4 because that 4 is right there. And I'm going to write a number less than 4 and a number greater than 4. And that's all I'm going to draw. Do not write down every single number. That is a total waste of your time. Just write down 3 numbers like how I did there. And you have all the information you need to figure out this problem's solution. So try to find their solution now. Hopefully you did a closed dot at 4, and then you decided that you needed to draw your arrow to the right side because 5 is greater than 4. That is a true statement. Here's 2 more extra practice problems for you, so do those 2 and check your answer with me. And here's your 2 answers. So for number 4, you should have gotten something that looks like that. And then for number 5, you should have drawn something that looks like that. So now we're going to talk about writing equations. And this can easily be done in three easy steps. So I don't have these steps formally written out. So what you should be doing is while I'm talking, writing out the steps. So step number 1 is write x. Step number 2 is figuring out what inequality we have or what we need to have. So I'm looking at the circle and I can see that that's an open circle. Open circle tells me that there is no line underneath. And then I'm going to go in the direction of the arrow. So my arrow is like that, which means my inequality does the same thing. And then whatever number my circle is at is the number that I'm writing for step number 3. So steps 1, 2, 3. Let's try it for that second problem there. So first step, always just write an x. Now we have to figure out what inequality to use. So I see a closed circle, which means I have my line. My arrow is going this way, so my inequality goes that way. And then I'm writing whatever number my circle is at. In this case, it's a 2. And that's going to be my answer. So I want you to try to do this third problem on your own. Hopefully you're following the steps and you did x is less than 0. That should be your final answer. X is less than 0. Here's 2 more problems for you to do. Again, you are writing down the inequalities for these 2 problems. So try them out and see if you get them correct. And here's your 2 answers. So x is less than or equal to -1 and x is greater than 4. Okay, what I want you to do now is we are reading these statements and we're figuring out which numbers are true for this statement. So statement A says you are in at least 5 of the photos. So I don't really know where this starts. So one trick that I'm going to teach you is redo that statement. So say that statement in a way that makes sense. So instead of saying you're in at least 5 photos, a similar thing that I could say is in bare minimum, you're in 5 photos. So at bare minimum, it's 5 photos. So minimum tells me that 5 is the least that I can go. And so 5 is going to be part of that answer. Because if I'm in at least 5 photos, I can be in 5 photos. Now I have to figure out which direction this goes in. So is it with my 6s and up, or is it with 4s and down? And hopefully you're thinking it's 6s and up, because 5 is our bare minimum and we can go up from there. Statement B says the temperature is less than 4 degrees Fahrenheit. So if it's less than -4 degrees Fahrenheit, does that include -4 degrees Fahrenheit? Hopefully you're thinking no. So it does not include -4 degrees Fahrenheit. So I know that this is going to be my middle ground. So I know that either these numbers are true or these numbers are true. So we have to figure out which direction we need to go in. So if we're thinking about numbers less than -4, is -5 less than -4? Or is -3 less than -4? Hopefully you're thinking 5. So these are all solutions to that statement there. Try that one by yourself. So think through it, figure out which ones you're going to be circling. Hopefully you're thinking it's more. So anything more than 3, more than does not include 3. So 4, 5, and 6 should have been circled. Same concept, except these are all one-step inequalities. So just like one-step equations, there's one thing that's happening to our variable. So I have x divided by 2, 5 times x, and x plus 5. We're checking to see if these are solutions to the equation that they're grouped with, or the inequality that they're grouped with. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 2 and we're going to substitute it into our x there. So instead of saying x divided by 2, I say 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me a 1. So that 1 goes in place of that fraction right there. So it says 1 is greater than 9. So is 1 bigger than 9? Nope, it is not. So that means that 2 is not a solution. Let's try it with our 20 now. 20 instead of x divided by 2 gives me a 10. Is 10 greater than 9? And hopefully you're saying yes, it is. 10 is a bigger number than 9. We're going to do that for our 6 now. So we're taking 6 divided by 2, which gives us a 3. Is 3 bigger than 9? Nope, it is not. And then our last number is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Is 4 greater than 9? Nope, it is not. So 20 was our only solution from these 4 options. So go ahead and do it for problems 5 and 6. Substitute those numbers in. Remember that this one is 5 times x, and this is x plus 5. And these are your options for x here. There's your answer. So for number 5, you should have circled 1 and 2. For number 6, you should have circled 7 and 9. Last thing I'm going to talk about is matching inequalities to a verbal statement. So I'll help you out with the first one and maybe the second one as well, because the first one is definitely harder than the rest of them. So this first one says the sum. I know sum is, oh, that was jumpy. There we go. So it says the sum. I know sum means addition of a number. I don't know what that number is. Why is this so jumpy? I don't know what that number is, so I'm going to plug in a variable, and the variable I'm going to use is n. So the sum of a number and 5, so I have a number there, more than means I'm going to be adding the number. Again, I don't know what that variable is, so I'm just going to write n. And then is less than. So that's actually going to be our inequality. We want a less than inequality. So I'm going to do my peace signs like it's 2010. Left is less. So I know less than means my left hand, which looks like that. And then 15. So the sum of a number and 5 more than that number is less than 15. So let's throw this all together to make our inequality. So I know that I have the sum of a number and brings me to the other side of that addition sign. It says 5 more than a number. So that all has to be grouped up into this side of it. So in order to do that, we're going to group it up with parentheses. So it says 5 more than a number. So we have our number and we're going to go 5 more than that. Is less than, so we have our less than sign, 15. So that's going to be our statement for that first one, which matches up with our H here. So we're going to use our H and put it with that one. And like I said, that one was a little bit harder than the rest of them. So how about we just do that second one together as well. So hopefully you are in a good position to finish out the rest of this. So it says a number So we have a number times 5. So times means multiplication. So I'm going to do my multiplication dot. 5 is greater than. So I need to think about my greater than and less than sign. So peace signs like it's 2010. Left is less. So that means that my right side is going to be my greater than sign. So this is what my right hand looks like there. So that's what that greater than sign is. And then we have 15 as our number. So we pulled out that important information. Now I have a number times 5 is greater than 15. So 5 times a number, or a number times 5. Let's make sure that we're using the right variables. So we use our n, is greater than 15. So that is D. So we're going to put in D for that problem. So try the rest of these, match them up. You're only going to use each one once. And there's the rest of your answers. So in all, you should have H, D, E, C, A, G, F, B. If you have any questions over this lesson, please send me an email.